So who are you?
I am Andrew from Boxee.
Yeah. And what is Boxee?
Boxee is the best way to enjoy all that entertainment that you normally have trapped on your computer, on your TV, from your couch with a remote.
So sort of like new TV.
I kind of think of it as like a completely new set of beliefs about TV and what TV should be.
Okay, give me because I grew up in the 3-channel world where we had a screen in front of us and we could go click, click, click through our 3 channels.
Yeah. So do you ever watch movies or TV shows online?
Absolutely.
What do you watch?
Well, I go through Hulu. I've watched Lost and variety of TV shows that I can't think about right now.
So Hulu, ABC, CBS, Netflix.
And then I watch all my friends, like Rocket Boom and all the cool new style video that's done for online, not for the old school networks.
Have you seen Easy to Assemble?
No.
It's a IKEA-based show. So I'll tell you about it in just a second. But
right.
So essentially, when you go to use those services, you probably sit down at your computer, or you connect your laptop, or you just sit with it right here.
Or with my iPhone. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on my iPhone.
So the goal with Boxee is to let you come home at the end of the day, after you've spent all day in front of a computer, and sit down on your couch, pull out a remote, and access all that content on your TV in a really nice interface that's easy to navigate. You don't have to be tech savvy. It just works. And we just released a beta of the software so that we actually have a TV show library built in. So if you're a big fan of Lost, it sounds like, you can add that show to what we call My TV Shows, and any new episode gets added to a queue, and you get a notification saying, hey, there's a new episode of Lost available. You click on it, and it starts playing from the web right away.
Right. It's not a replacement for your cable box, although I know some kids who are using it that way, right? They watch all their TV through the Boxee interface, and they got rid of cable, so they're not paying the $40 or $50 or $60 a month for cable. Why would you still need direct satellite or cable hooked up to your TV? Why couldn't you go all the way with Boxee? Can I get all the sport? Well, tell me.
Well, I was going to say, so for some people that would work. I think for a lot of people, you just need to take a look at what you're passionate about, what kind of content you really want to enjoy or watch. So for a lot of people who are NFL Sunday Ticket subscribers on DirectTV, that's a great experience. It's a great package. It gives them everything that they want, and that's not replicated yet on the web. So for them, DirectTV is probably a good way to go. And generally, with live sports, aside from MLB, which we actually have, and you can watch live streaming games in HD, cable and satellite are a really good option for that. Also, streaming news or financial stuff, Bloomberg and CNN and CNBC and all those guys do a really good job of that on cable and satellite. But let's say you like to watch movies, you're not super passionate about having to have the latest and greatest. You can use Netflix on Boxee, and you subscribe for $9 a month and get all of that content instantly streamed to your TV. If you're a big fan of things like Rocket Boom and things like Next New Networks and Blip TV and all this great content that's just on the web, you can watch that for free on Boxee.
Like this show.
You don't have to pay for anything. Yeah.
You can watch us because we're putting our show on the internet. We're not available on old school TV networks, right? It's like CNBC or CBS. You have to watch us on the web. But if you had a Boxee box, you could actually just be watching us on the big screen.
Exactly.
Tell me why couldn't I just go to Building 43 or YouTube and watch, or Hulu and watch all the content without Boxee? Why couldn't I just surf around and pull it up on my computer?
Yeah, so Boxee is actually born out of a user frustration. So the 5 founders were finding their media habits were changing. And essentially in 2007, they looked at all this great content that was available online, and they had to go out and buy, an expensive computer to access it all. And then they had to have a wireless keyboard and mouse in the living room, and they had to make sure that the computer was running, and they had to deal with an OS and viruses, and all these little things that were part of a computer experience, and something that was, frankly, a hassle.
And the UI wasn't always made. I mean, if you have Windows Media Center or something like that, you have a UI that's made for the big screen in front of you. But you know, I have a Mac Mini hooked up to my big screen, and it's hard to read sometimes. You know, because all the fonts are really, really tiny. It's geeky. You know, my wife's like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Totally. And so the guys were experiencing that and thought, man, there must be a better way to do this. They turned to an open source project called Xbox Media Center, which is a phenomenal project that was started for the original Xbox that allowed people to get local content played through the Xbox on their big TV. Yeah. And they were big users of XBMC. They were supporters, coders. They added to the project. And finally they thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to take this to the next level and add on a ton of internet content, add on social networking so we can share what we're watching with friends. And so they built Boxee to be this great experience for consuming entertainment, whether it was on the web or on their hard drive, and being able to share it with their friends. So essentially for the way we think about it, it's all about consumer choice. So our software is free on the internet. You can download it for Windows, Mac, or Linux. So we really want to make it easy for people to get into their living room and enjoy Boxee. So for people who have a home theater PC like you and I have a Mac Mini in our living room set up ready to go, they can get the software for free and start experiencing it right away. For other people who maybe don't know a lot about computers, buying a device that's a dedicated set-top box that they can plug right into their TV, into their AV receiver, and be done with it, and never have to worry about it.
Does it have Wi-Fi in it?
It does. I have Wi-Fi.
So I don't have to bring Ethernet over to the TV. I just hook it into my TV and hook it up to my Wi-Fi network, and it works.
And you're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I can get the full Boxee experience in front of me the same way I get on my laptop?
Exactly.
Or on my Mac Mini?
Yep. And the cool thing is that we've made it really simple, inexpensive, so it's going to be under $200. And it'll be able to access all the content that you already have on your network. So if you've got stuff shared from your Windows Media Server or from your Mac laptop, it'll be able to access all that and pull it into the interface and make it really nice to enjoy. Instead of navigating files and folders, you're actually navigating artwork of your DVDs and albums.
Does it show pictures from Flickr as well?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's
pictures.
cool, because a lot of times when we're sitting in front of the TV, relatives come over and want to see the wedding videos we did or wedding photos that we did, and it's like, oh, let me pull those up. That's really neat.
Of course, yeah. Flickr, Picasa, a bunch of other Facebook photos, and then you'll also be able to add. They've got USB ports on the back, so if you're kind of more a traditional person, you can keep them all on your hard drive and then just put them onto a USB stick and plug it into the back, and you'll be able to access it from there. For most people, they're really excited about all the free content that's available on the web. But if we look at our app usage, Netflix is actually one of the most popular applications, and it's a for-pay service. Yeah. And the way we look at it is that content providers really want to make content available, but for some of them, that ad-only revenue model doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And so people like you have sponsors that help them out, and certainly the guys at Rev3 have done a great job of things like that as well. But for a lot of them, they're looking for some way to at least try out something new. Yeah. Try out selling content, whether it's, hey, I want to sell you a season, I want to sell you an episode. We actually think there's a really cool hybrid model that is sorry. A hybrid model where, let's say you film 10 episodes and you make them all available, so one per week that's ad sponsored. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, as a user, you have the option to say, you know what, I really like this series. I'm excited about it. I want to spend the next 5 hours watching the rest of the season. Here's $10.
Yeah. Now, how, as a content team, right, can I charge as little as 50 cents or $1, or is there a price that I have to charge for a piece of content? Like if we did an extended version of this interview and people wanted to pay for that, could I charge $1 or 50 cents, a little tiny payment, or tell me how the payment works?
We're still working out some of the details,
Okay.
But certainly our goal is to work with content providers and make sure we support every model that they could want. So if you want to make an episode available for 99 cents, we'll definitely work with you and make sure that that happens.
And then how much of the dollar do you guys keep, and how much do I get
So
if I charge $1?
We're still working that out, but our goal is, we want to be really fair, and we, as an open source platform, somebody could come and undercut us pretty easily. So we'll make sure that that number is low, so that it's a benefit for users who don't get passed on a cost,
Yep.
and for content producers who don't have to lose a profit.
Cool. So can we see it?
Sure. So this is a brand new home screen that came out with our beta at CES.
Yep.
And what you notice right off the bat is there's this nice menu across the top that kind of gives you a preview of what Boxee does. So we do TV shows, movies, music, photos, and then apps are different applications that we have sourced from the internet. So you can think of these as different websites or different sources of content.
Now, Pandora, I know, is a music app, so it's not just about video. It's about delivering all sorts of entertainment to your TV?
Totally.
Okay.
So we want to do music, we want to do video, we want to do photos, essentially anything on the internet that you can access on a browser. If it makes sense to bring it into this experience, we want to be able to support it.
Now, one of the questions my readers asked was, are you guys ever going to do iTunes? Because that's Apple. And do you have ability to play iTunes content in here? Probably not, but I'd love to hear what your
So as it stands
answer is.
right now, we don't do DRM'd media,
Okay.
because Apple doesn't license its fair play codec. But our goal is really to work with it, and I think, so we're in beta right now. That really speaks to the functionality, and I think music is one of those sections of the software where we're actually really looking to improve upon in the next 6 to 9 months, and bring in your iTunes playlists, and make sure that if you have DRM free music that you've bought through the iTunes store in your iTunes library, that we'll be able to play that and make sure that we create a great experience like somebody similar to like a Sonos has done in the home.
Do you have different experiences for different regions in the world? Because I know right now Spotify works in Europe. Do you support Spotify as an app in Europe, but not here in the United States because they're not out here yet?
So we're in talks with Spotify. Specifically, the way we view it is essentially if you're in a region, we assign you, we know which applications are geo-locked to certain states or certain countries.
Yeah.
So if you're in, let's say, the UK, you're going to get all the BBC stuff, but you won't get Hulu and ABC and NBC.
Got it.
And the goal there is kind of not to frustrate you and say, man, look at all this content I could be getting if I live in the US. We filter all of it out, so you don't have to see it. You can only see what you can actually play.
Got it.
And that's just a toggle, so you can turn that on and off if you want. But the goal for us is really to expand worldwide. Certainly the software is available worldwide, and we've got tons of different sites like TED and CNET and Current that are all available across the world.
Yeah.
And so for us, I think we're looking at the U.S. and Canada as a great place to start. But after that, we'll be looking at Western Europe and Asia and trying to.
Now, if there's some new content people who are watching this and are thinking of starting a video, video content show, how do I get our show? Well, how do we get our show on this app network interface?
It's really, really easy. If you're a content provider, you can just email content@boxee.tv.
Okay.
We've got a full SDK that we make available online. We have an app guru who works with each of our content partners and gives them guidelines on how to build apps. Generally, it takes, we've done apps in as little as a day or two, all the way up to a couple months, depending on how complicated the application is. But for a lot of people, it's XML, it's Python. It's really easy to lay out. And if you are using one of our partners like Brightcove, it's essentially plug and play. So you make the look and feel, but all the rest of the back end stuff is taken care of. So it's our goal to make that as easy as possible.
Okay.
So, and what I'll show you here, if we jump into CNET, so we're showing off some of their HD content. Let me actually jump out and go into, I'm going to use our Boxee remote here and bust out the keyboard on the back.
That's cool.
And
that comes with the Boxee box?
This comes with the Boxee box, and we're also going to sell it separately. So if you've got that Mac Mini HTPC, you can just buy this and it'll work. And I'll show off, one of the cool things about Boxee applications is that they're fully customized. So what you're going to see on screen is a look and feel of Dig that they've worked on. And this actually ties into their API, which they just launched. And I'm able to dig and bury stories from within this interface. So this gives you a better idea of, it's not just stuff from the Hulus and the ABCs and the CBSs of the world. It's really everything that's available on the web, and you can jump right in and play something. You can add it to a queue. You can also share it with your friends and say, oh, my Twitter followers would love a tour of Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And I can share it with them, and it goes out to Twitter and Facebook.
Very cool.
So
very cool. Are you thinking about the mobile platforms at all? Doing a Boxee box on iPhone or Android or something like that?
We get asked that a lot. We're really focused on the living room experience. I think once, as I said, we're in beta now. Once we get to that production version where we're really happy with the way the product functions, and it's got that full feature set that we want, then we'll look at taking it to the web, taking it to your iPhone, taking it to your Android, and supporting all those different places where people want to get their media.
Okay. Is there any way for a developer to build an app that hooks notifications into the Boxee interface? Like, hey, there's a live video right now of Obama speaking, that maybe I want to know about, and go there and record it?
So the best way actually to do that is through this feed option.
Okay.
So we make live content available as we can. So we've done it for the U.S. Open, we've done it for a Foo Fighters concert, kind of big premieres that happen online. We'll quickly make an app and then go through and recommend it to our users.
Okay.
So either in the featured section, so you'll see this is all stuff that we've selected, and these are all things recommended to me from my friends.
Okay.
And they can even.
How do you choose what gets featured? Is that just you guys are surfing all the video and you find something cool and you go, oh, I got to put that in featured, or is that paid? Is that a paid spot? So
right now it's actually Avner and I and a couple of the other Boxee guys just saying, hey, this is cool. I think our users would like it, and we pick applications from content partners and kind of give them some love and highlight them. But down the line, it will be a place where people like Showtime can promote the season premiere of Dexter.
Okay.
And we'll get a little bit of revenue from that.
Cool.
So yeah, this is the way I think about this is on the left, the feed is curated by your friends, featured is curated by Boxee, and the queue is curated by you. Yeah. And it makes it a really nice experience. The one thing that you notice when everything's on demand, which is essentially what Boxee does, you lose the idea of channel surfing. And so the social aspect and the featured aspect make it really easy to channel surf through stuff that your friends are watching rather than a bunch of infomercials that you really have no interest in.
Now I'm seeing some companies coming out soon that are going to build video feeds based on what's being talked about on Twitter or Facebook. Are you going to integrate those into, let's say, the apps, or would a developer be able to integrate that into an app? Or because that feed would be different than your feed, right?
So maybe explain a little bit more about what you mean.
If 1,000 people say, oh my God, 24 was awesome tonight, that gets talked about, and they can watch that behavior of a crowd and build a new kind of feed based on popularity or based on all sorts of different things, right? Sentiment, I hated 24, so rate that down, or I love 24, rate it up,
Gotcha. There are a couple things that we do right now that are actually applicable. So one is we'll tie into your Facebook and Twitter and pull in those recommendations.
Okay.
So if your followers start recommending this a lot, you'll start seeing it in your feed a lot.
Interesting.
And then secondly, there is, what's the other way? Somebody built an application which is really cool called News. Let's see, I forget the name of it. I gotta find it on the App Store. It's a mashup of Twitter and YouTube.
Okay.
So it takes the trending topics on Twitter and then finds related YouTube videos and shares them with you.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, we start to see things like that, which is kind of taking this medium to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And really expanding what you can do now on the TV screen, which you normally were restricted to the computer screen to do.
Cool. Well, I think we're running low on bits to record. So, is there anything else I need to know about Boxee? Or?
So I was going to say, our big overarching goal is to become the OS that runs your living room. So whether it's on a device like the Boxee box, which is coming out in the second quarter of this year, or it's on a big, beautiful TV like this, we think we're the best way to run your entertainment experience in terms of interacting with content from the web or content that you have on your home network. So the box is the first step for us. The next big one is TVs, Blu-ray players, game consoles, kind of building out that platform and taking all the content that we already have on Boxee with us and making it really easy for those device manufacturers to plug in the internet into their devices and bring you more choices as a consumer.
Very cool. We learn more about it at Boxee.com.
Boxee.tv.
Oh, Boxee.tv.
Boxee.com, is an Australian man who runs a very successful consulting business. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
But Boxee.tv, you can download the software for free. Check it out.
Boxee.tv.
Correct.
Thank you so much.